Noah Jones, welcome to Charlestown Sounds.
Thanks for having me, Coleman.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm so glad you're finally on the show, and you also go by the name Black Orpheus. So tell me a little bit about that. What does Black Orpheus mean?
Well, I'll tell you how it started, really. Nothing serious, just needed to go by a nickname for something I was involved with, and I was thinking of it, and I'm not really one to try to, post myself up with the, secret name or alias or whatever. So I actually thought about it, and I remember that in the Greek mythology, there's a character named Orpheus, right? And he's supposed to be the son of Apollo and be able to be the greatest musician in the world, right? And essentially, the love of his life gets taken and has to go to the underworld. And he uses his musical ability. Through music, he's able to accomplish all these feats and receive his love back from the underworld. But unfortunately, he didn't listen to Hades, and because of that, right when he was about to walk out with her, he took her back. After which he died of a broken heart.
Oh,
it's a sad story, but I look at it as the power of music in general. I mean, he had the courage to do something so great, go up against something so great with music. And I think in times like these, we all have something that we're trying to fight against morally, whether it just be someone we personally know or something we personally know that's happening, or on a large scale,
Yeah, music is powerful, man.
It's very powerful.
But I hope you don't die of a broken heart.
Hopefully.
So Noah, you're involved in multiple groups. Can you list them, give a little background how you got involved with each group?
Right, yeah. It all started for me in high school. I was lucky to get into my high school's jazz band, which is Charleston County School of the Arts. Proud alum.
Shout out.
So I was involved with the jazz band for about 3 years, from sophomore year to senior year. And with that, I started making connections in town with more of the professional scene and what I could aspire to be. And SOA's music was always pushing me to be the best musician I could be. And because of that, I was very fortunate enough to make connections with some of the best young people in Charleston. And that's really where it first started for me. I was in 10th grade, first year in the jazz band, and I started this idea of a super group that, of young people I knew that I called my best friends,
Yeah.
and tried to make great music. I had one gig, and it went very well. And that was the start for me. After that, I fell in love with the idea of performing an art for others to see, like a painting for people to see, like a reflection of you through your music. So that started it really, and I practiced and started to learn the traditional styles and what was required in the music jazz. And because of that, that pushed me to be a hard worker in music. And then I got the opportunity to play in my church, and that always helps, being motivated, not only to play music, but to also, serve your religious figure through your faith, and it was very helpful to me spiritually to do that. After which it was really senior year for me that I started seeing myself playing groups that I didn't think I would be. Throughout my whole high school experience, I was fortunate enough to go to different jazz spots and play for the higher ups in the scene, and they liked me, and I was fortunate to get their connection and started playing with them a little bit more and more and more. So
yeah, and I actually saw you at the Jazz Artists of Charleston event, the Charleston Jazz Festival, and they mentioned that you were a freshman at CFC, so I said, I got to meet this guy. So could you talk a little bit about your education here at CFC?
Yeah.
What are you studying?
I'm currently a music and political science double major. I I loved it so far. I'm from here, so I love the area, and of course I'm a little apprehensive about not going off to these fancy cities, and I've never seen before for college, but there's something about the home aspect that definitely makes up for that.
Yeah, and so obviously you have a heart for Charleston.
Absolutely.
I do as well, and with that, what do you want to see change in the Charleston community, or how can music make an impact in this community?
Right. Well, to answer that, the number one thing I believe that can change and that will yield the greatest result is if, as a city, we start to realize and open our eyes to the things that have become a norm that shouldn't be, essentially. For me personally, it is the South's idolization of these Confederate figures. For me personally, as an African American, what the ideals were that were in place to enslave our ancestors. I cannot, just sit and be okay with having to live in a city that is constantly idolizing these figures, unfortunately. But the cool thing about music is that it was until the funeral of Reverend Pinckney after the massacre at Emanuel 9 was that during our president at the time, Barack Obama's song, he sang Amazing Grace. And everybody in that room, no matter what color, what creed, understood exactly what was the feeling that was conveyed. And that right there, black, white, Republican, Democrat, everyone felt the same way and had the gravity of the situation for just that little bit of a moment through music.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to be able to try to emulate through.
Yeah.
Through mine.
Yeah. Music can definitely bring us together when other things can't.
Absolutely.
So you have some projects coming up, or a project coming up. You want to talk briefly about that, and then we want to hear another song from you, "Woman in the Red Veil." So could you just lead us out with both those?
Projects. I'm actually going to be. I'm in the process of starting my very first own single produced album. No one else is helping me. I'm really writing this music and trying to produce good quality music that has me in it. But also, I do plan to feature other artists on the songs that I write, that kind of have them in mind in the writing process, to show the inclusiveness, of why I think diversity is so important in anything that we do, not only education but music as well.
Yeah, so what's the story behind Woman in the Red Veil?
Well, that is, as crazy as it sounds, it's an interesting title. It's actually inspired by a painting I saw here at the college during my first semester. And it was, I don't know what it was about it, but I was so caught by what this picture was. And it was simply a figure, a woman in a cloak, and had this red shining veil over half of her face. It didn't say anything else. It was just, I didn't read the artist's forewords about the painting. I just saw it for myself. And what was going on at the time was everyone's talking about the Women's March and and the issues of politically what feministic ideals our current president does not support, and what have you, and what this meant for women. So I felt kind of obligated to just musically share what I was feeling with these issues. So she kind of represents all that for me.
Oh man, I'm excited to hear it. So I'm excited to hear the new project, and I'll definitely keep up with you. We'll all keep up with you. You're doing great things, and thank you for coming on today. Here is Woman in the Red Veil.